There we go. I'm pretty sure that was my daughter's dream. The sign kept coming up and says the host will not unmute you. Again, trying new experiences, new traditions, getting together in different ways. I want to invite you to hear this morning's gospel reading. It's one that we hear each year about this Sunday. Again, it's at the heart of our Christmas story. But again, it gives us the opportunity to hear it in a different space and from a different place. I invite you to think about the folks in this story, about Mary in particular, growing relationship together with a guy, but yet not there yet. Not in a place where they should be having children, but yet things are about to change in some pretty crazy ways. A young lady, a teenager at that. Life is unfolding in crazy ways. I think it's fair to say that if she's feeling oriented to life at this point in her journey, she's about to feel disoriented after this conversation, because nothing's going to really feel like it did the minute before. Luke chapter 1, beginning at verse 26. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a town in Galilee called Nazareth, to a virgin engaged to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David. The virgin's name was Mary. And he came to her and he said, "Greetings, favored one. The Lord is with you." But she was perplexed by his words and pondered what sort of greeting this might be. The angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God." Greetings, favored one. The Lord is with you. What do you even do with those words? You're standing face to face, trying to figure out life, and now you're standing face to face with the angel Gabriel. Not just any Gabriel, but not just any angel, but with Gabriel, one of the angels of angels, if you will, one of the high angels that's come there. God's not sending anybody just anybody to deliver this message. And he makes it clear. Gabriel doesn't come here on his own. He doesn't come because of some shifting and colliding of the stars, but no, he's sent here deliberately by who? By who? By who? By God. God sends him here. He's intentional. And he's got a message to deliver. Young lady, don't be afraid. Greetings, favored one. You're special. You're precious to God. The Lord is with you. You're not going to be alone in any of what I'm about to tell you. What does it mean to find favor with God? Have you found favor with God in your life? Do you recognize the love that God has for you, the ways that God has reached out to you? Have you been able to realize some of the ways that God gives birth to new hope, life, joy, peace to others, even through you? Yes, it's a humbling thought. Yet each and every one of us created for a purpose, specific gifts and talents, and perhaps called to share them in ways that are way beyond our comfort zone, especially here in 2020, when everything feels so disorienting. Everything doesn't seem familiar. We're not sure what to do with it all. But that same steadfast love that proclaimed to Mary, "You've found favor," is the same steadfast love that has remained faithful to all generations. Another reading from today's lectionary, Psalm 89, beginning at verse 1. I will sing of your steadfast love, O Lord. Forever with my mouth I will proclaim your faithfulness to all generations. I declare that your steadfast love is established forever, that your faithfulness is as firm as the heavens. You said, I have made a covenant with my chosen one. I have sworn to my servant David, I will establish your descendants forever and build your throne for all generations. I have made my covenant with my chosen one. I've made these promises to you, David, that this love is going to be passed down from one generation to the next. We also read in the gospel story that Mary would be called blessed by all generations. All who would know her story, would know of her faithfulness, would know of God's love and faithfulness in the midst of her life, would be passed on and remembered, recognized, honored, celebrated in ways that she could never have imagined, in ways that she could never have dreamed. I wonder how many times God's love is made known through us in ways that we don't even recognize, or at the very least, in ways that we'll never realize the true impact as it continues to roll down from one generation to the next, kind of like a snowball rolling down a hill on a perfect day where it gets bigger and bigger and it picks up speed and it picks up might and coming not to destroy us or destroy everything in its path, but coming to destroy everything that might stand between us and the great love that God has shared with us in Christ Jesus. Are you celebrating that love today? Are you giving thanks for the peace of Christ that surpasses understanding? Has the hope of God's light shining in the darkness that we have proclaimed throughout this last month or so, is that hope still continuing to refocus and reprioritize your life as we journey together towards a new year? Knowing that there's something about a new year that seems fresh, it seems filled with possibilities. It seems like turning a page into a new calendar is a big deal. And yet inside we really know that there's nothing that really changes. We know that it doesn't mean that COVID is going to disappear or that all the vaccines will have been done. It doesn't mean that life will go back on January 1st to what we thought it should have been on January 1st of 2020. But yet, there's something about it that draws us forward. There's that moment, I know maybe it's been different for you like it has for me. It usually takes me somewhere, I figure, between 4 and 6 weeks to start writing 2021 on my checks. The like 1 or 2 checks that I write every quarter. But ultimately, I found myself the other day having to write a check for something and already was writing 2021 on it. It's like, wow, I guess I just can't wait for what's to come. I can't wait to hope that at least if we write the different date on a check, maybe Groundhog Day changes a little bit because this year has seemed like that so much. But what if you're like me, where not every moment is like this, talking about God's steadfast love or that joy or peace, but those everyday Monday morning moments that come throughout the week, day after day, where life is just feels like it's the same old rut and we forget what's going on and it leaves us wondering what tomorrow's hold and just leaves us tired and yawning because we're struggling with just having to do the same thing over and over again. What if our mood doesn't match the joy that we have? What if our mood doesn't line up with the love we know is there? What if our mood doesn't really engage, connect with, say nothing about, reflect the faith that we have in God's grace, that is among us, that goes before us, that's with us? What if we almost can hear those words that we have found favor with God, that God is with us, but yet it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel the way that it did before. Well, if you're wondering where I'm going with that and you're saying, I wish you'd just get to the point, I'm just going to ask, have you ever heard of Pearl S. Buck? Pearl Buck was an American writer and a novelist, first American woman to win the Nobel Prize for Literature. She was at work and journeying through this world between 1892 and 1973. And I share this quote from her life. I don't wait for moods. You accomplish nothing if you do that. Your mind must know it has got to get down to work. Remember that word liturgy? We have a worship liturgy every Sunday. Liturgy is that piece that guides us through our time together. Sometimes it's on a bulletin when we're gathered together. Sometimes it's on this little Post-it note that sits on my computer during years like 2020, apparently. But that word liturgy means the work of the people. Our work. There's work to do as God's people in this time, in this place. It's getting down to remembering God's hope, to allowing God to refocus our attention, to God refill us with that which we need in order to comfort God's people, even as God's comforting us. I think it's fair to say even to recognize God's comfort in our lives each day. It takes work to remember and to connect with God's joy, to allow that peace to bring us to a place where we can be still in the everyday moments of our life. Today, at the heart of this message, I want you to hear these words like never before. I don't want you to go away from here without hearing them. So listen as if you're the only one that I'm talking to. In fact, if you need to take the view and go from gallery view to the speaker view so that you can only see me and then hear God speaking to you, hear these words. Greetings, favored one. Greetings, favored one. The Lord is with you. Greetings, favored one. The Lord is with you. I share this with you as individuals and as people that I love and am so grateful for in my life. So grateful that as complicated as this year has been, I still have here with me on this road through the year. So many times in the New Testament, especially in the writings of the Apostle Paul, we hear him saying over and over again in different ways, encouraging people to get through whatever it is that they've got to get through, to take hold of whatever it is that they've got to learn and take hold of. And he's always somebody at the heart of that. Sometimes he's saying, I just want you to keep on going. I want to just encourage you to keep meeting together in whatever way that you can, even though the world's mixed up and messed up. I want to encourage you that you're doing a good job and that together we've got this because God is with us. Because God has spoken these words and said, I am with you. Be still. Know that I am God. Think of all the strange encounters that you've heard about, read about, studied about, talked about, preached about in your life, of different people in the scriptures or different people down through the different generations that have encountered God in the strangest of moments like Mary and realized there was something good going on, even though it was downright frightening. So there's a lot that's downright frightening still going on, but yet God's steadfast love continues to come alive among us and through us. And so with all of that being said, I'm going to invite Allie to bring up a YouTube video. It kind of speaks to 2020, and I hope it touches your heart in some way like it did mine.
things go, and you're always in disguise, my hero. I see your light in the dark, smile on my face when we all know it's hard. There's no way to ever pay you back. Bless your heart, know I love you for that. Honest and selfless, I don't know if this helps it, but good job, you're doing a good job, a good job. You're doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, 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 yeah. You're doing a good job, a good job. You're doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, 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 yeah.
6 in the morning, as soon as you walk through that door, everyone needs you again. The world's out of order, it's not a sound when you're not around.
All day on your feet, hard to keep that energy. I know when it feels like the end of the road, you don't let go, you just press forward. You're the engine that makes all things go, always in disguise, my hero. I see a light in the dark, smile in my face when we all know it's hard. There's no way to ever pay you back. Bless your heart, know I love you for that. Honest and selfless, I don't know if this helps it, but
good job, you're doing a good job, a good job.
Good job,
you're doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, matter, matter.
Good job, you're doing a good job, a good job. Yeah. You're doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter, matter, matter. Yeah. The mothers, the fathers, the teachers that reach us, strangers to friends that show up in the end. From the bottom to the top, the listeners that hear us, this is for you. You make me feel it. You're doing a good job, a good job. Oh, you're doing a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now. Know that you matter.
Thank you so much to our first responders, our healthcare workers, our mothers.
Thank you to our moms and our dads.
Thank you to our teachers who've helped us.
We know it's been hard, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
In Matthew chapter 25 that we shared a few weeks ago, we hear how in that final days and that final judgment, God takes and begins to kind of separate some folks out. There's some on the right and there's some on the left. And he says to those on the right, he says, thank you for being there. When you visited me, thank you for that glass of water. Thank you for the food you provided. Thank you for the care that was there. And they said, what do you mean? When do we help? What do we do, God? Where were we in all of this? And he said, whatever you have done for the least of these, you've done for me. I want to thank each and every one of you and so many others today from the bottom of my heart for all that you have done and for all that you continue to do, and for words of encouragement, for words of comfort, and for a chance to laugh or to not have to cry alone in the middle of this year. I have to say, certainly that whole thing of having to be in the mood for things is nothing new. It's come alive in many different ways. John Wesley himself struggled with his own faith and with his relationship with God, and because there were moments when he just didn't feel it. And his good friends from the Moravian church would tell him, you just need to keep preaching by faith until you feel it. And until that day when he felt his heart strangely warmed at Aldersgate, and it changed it forever. I guess if I want to be really honest this morning, as I've journeyed through this Advent season, nothing's felt familiar. Nothing's felt the same. Kind of felt like I'm on edge, looking this way and that, trying to figure out what it is that I need to do next. Because it doesn't make sense. And I rely on tradition. I rely on, we're creatures of habit, especially at this time of year. There was a piece of me that's joked through this whole season. It says, how in the world can we even plan for Christmas when we're stuck in Groundhog Day? I've said it so much that some people are probably tired of hearing it, and others still chuckle when they hear it for the first time. But I guess on the other hand, there's some truth to that. But it changed for me today. I have no idea what it was or why it was, but yet somehow in the early morning hours, God touched my heart. God touched my heart, and I just realized that Christmas is here. And even though things are different, we're doing a good job. How can I stand here and say confidently to each one of you that you have found favor with God and that God is with you? I truly believe it's because we're here. It's because we're here, seeking to live by faith, seeking to put one foot in the front of the other, seeking to continue to be faithful to the gospel, even in the midst of this crazy world we call 2020. So from my heart to yours, from my home to yours, I want to wish you the merriest of Christmases, the most wondrous moments of grace in the year that lies ahead. I want to give God all the glory for all God's been doing. I want to give God all the glory for being with us this morning. I want to give God glory for all the ways that his truth and his love and his mercy and his peace and his joy will come alive in the days, in the hours, and in the days, and in the weeks, and the years that lie ahead. Thank you, my friends. Thank you for sharing this journey. To God be the glory. Amen. Gonna just change our order a little bit here this morning, and we're gonna move right